Well, I've been trying to find the right, I could say, title for the video. And we're going to talk about the narcissist family cult. I don't know if you guys are aware of this small, like secret groups of some people, some kind of people who do very shady stuff behind the scenes. Now, if you've been involved in a narcissistic family, then this is something that you may discover. And it may take you a very long period of time to see this. It could take you a whole awakening to understand how far these narcissists can go to achieve money, to achieve power, to achieve fame, to achieve whatever it is they want. They can go very deep. And because they don't have the necessary resources, I could say the right energy to do these things, they can get involved in very dark practices. And these are things that they may be doing because they think or they feel it is all about their survival. Because you see, a narcissist is in survival mode 24/7. So they need the money, they need power, they need validation, they need resources, they need everything. And it's okay to need something, some degree. But the difference is that when you are dealing with the narcissistic person, they can go an extra mile to make some things happen. And these things also include, unfortunately, which is something you may not want to hear, these narcissists also can decide to sacrifice. Now, as a black sheep, how do I know these things? Because I've been the black sheep of the family. And I woke up someday and I realized I was the sacrificial lamb. So if you're a black sheep of the family and you can identify as a family black sheep in any family, then you best believe you was a sacrificial lamb. So you might have parents, for example, who have gotten involved with very dark, secret stuff, secret groups. And this may not be something they will openly tell you about. For them, they are believing that they are doing these all things for the survival of the family. But sometimes what they're not really actually understanding or realizing is that they are pushing the family very deeper into darkness. And sometimes, like I've said, they may be involved in these little secret cults. It could be, for example, you might see your parents. There is moments when they leave home, you don't even know where they have gone. They will never tell you where they have gone. It could be a parent or two. It could be one parent or two parents at the same time, but usually they can disappear and they can go and hold some little form of it, like secret meetings somewhere. And they need to find out what is their way forward. Okay, what are they going to do? Now, sometimes they are doing things that are very deep, like I've told you, and they are doing things that are very dangerous. Because remember that a narcissist doesn't have conscious. They are not conscious. And whatever it is they believe they are doing, they're not able to sit down and, weigh the outcomes or the consequences or sometimes the stuff like that. So they will just go and do, whatever it is that they feel or they think they need to do, only for them to realize that sometimes there is very serious consequences for those secret things that they're doing, okay? You guys might have heard about sometimes these people who do blood sacrifice. A narcissist can sacrifice their own kids, their own children, their own family members. Because some of these things that they are doing, because I've told you that these are very dark practices, Some of them can even be witches. They can be involved in different types of witchcraft and things like that, very dark stuff. And sometimes they may figure out that the only way they're going to survive is by sacrificing a family, a particular family member. So you may all of a sudden see one of the family members passing on, or they could get bedridden, they could be struggling with their health, they could start losing everything. So you see, when a person sacrifices, they can either sacrifice a person physically, or they could sacrifice a person spiritually, whereby they can kill their spirit. If they didn't kill their spirit, they could actually kill the person physically. So I know that this is a very triggering and disturbing video, but you guys need to understand these things. A lot of you guys, when we talk about narcissism and this whole thing of narcissists, you guys don't understand how deep this whole thing can go. So this whole thing goes very deep, ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand that these are not some things you need to take for granted. You have got to understand that the narcissist can do a lot of deep stuff and shady stuff behind the scenes. And they're not worried about the consequence. They don't even care. It is until they reach that moment where they have got to pay for, for whatever it is they have been doing, that they will realize how deep this whole thing has been. Now, like I've said, they might decide to sacrifice a certain family member. And normally when we're talking about this sacrifice, like I've told you, it can be spiritual or it can be physical. But sometimes it may happen where they may have to sacrifice somebody. And usually, like for the most of you guys who have been in these narcissistic families, a lot of you guys, the scapegoats and the black sheep, then you finally understand that you've been the sacrifice. So they have actually killed your spirit many years ago. And it all could have started with something very small and unsuspecting, where they may have dragged you along with them. Let's go somewhere. They took in the woods. They did some special, stuff practice, dark practice, whatever, and you didn't even know what they was doing. They could have said some words upon you. They could have said some incantations while you were young. There's things that he was doing when you didn't know. And that is because when you're the person that has got a very good energy, because you see, a lot of these people who are into dark stuff and rituals, they need people and individuals who are energetically aligned. They are spiritually aligned. They have got a star. They have got the power. They are the people with the spiritual power. So those are the people they need, because what is really happening behind the scenes is that they need the spirit of that particular individual. So they will actually do something to your spirit to make you go into some kind of a very deep slumber. And sometimes this slumber is going to take a very long period of time. That slumber can take you years. There's people who have been in that slumber for 30 years all their lives, only for them to realize that they have always been the sacrificial lamb in their own family. So what really happened was that back in the days, your parents, they did something. This particular stuff they did, you wasn't aware of it, but this was something they was doing behind the scenes. And they could have killed your star. And there's something they did to your destiny. So whatever it is they used to achieve, whatever it is they used to get, whether it was wealth, just health, good health, or whether it was finances, promotions, and stuff like that. Maybe they wanted a promotion in their office, or maybe they wanted to gain some kind of favors from different whatever arrangements that there was involved. So whatever they was doing, it was actually for their own benefit. So do not be surprised as to why that moment, the black sheep of the family, they ever choose or decide to walk away from that unit. Do not be surprised as to why everything is going to go west. Do not be surprised as to why normally when the black sheep leaves a family system, if a dysfunctional, whatever narcissistic family system, do not be surprised as to why the entire foundation starts to crumble. It's going to feel like everything is falling apart. They cannot get themselves together. It's like they are losing their health. It's like they're losing their money. A lot of them will be fired from jobs. A lot of them will be demoted. A lot of them will go through the worst ever situations in their own personal life, the whole thing starts to crumble. The whole foundation starts to crumble because the entire family foundation is, like I've told you, it's a cult. So it's all some kind of an illusion. So when he was growing up, you could notice different, members who seemed to play different roles. You could see a parent, for example, one of your parents, who would almost see what was going on, but they couldn't speak because they was already numbed by the head of the family, the ones who is actively involved in the cult. Sometimes it can be one or it can be both of the parents who are involved in that particular narcissist cult. And you could have seen the reason as to why they never really wanted you. You could feel like nobody really liked you, nobody would validate you. It's like whatever you had to say wasn't valid. Things like that. You had a role that you was playing in that system. Because when you talk about narcissistic abuse, there are certain rules they follow. There are certain operational procedures they follow in those kind of systems. This is why I've told you that narcissism, the whole thing of narcissism is like a cult. So they would drag along some other family members to participate in certain roles. This is what that person is meant for. So they will groom somebody, like you guys already know that they be called the black sheep, the golden child, who will all receive all the admiration, the favors and stuff like that. They will groom that person to be like them. They will groom them and make sure that those people follow behind their footsteps. And they'll also be like the neighboring parent, you guys know, the one who is usually can see everything, but there's nothing they can do because they also need to survive. And there's not pretty much anything they can do to help the situation. So they follow along with the cult leader. And then there can also be, like the lost child. We talk about the paralyzed child. We talk about different members in the unit playing different roles. But sometimes it can be disturbing where you might have like a very small group of families. It could be a family of one or two people, whereby different roles will be assigned to that particular individual, whether it is the role of the flying monkey, whether it is the role of the golden child, whether it is the role of the scapegoat or whatever. So an individual can play actually different roles. And this is very, very dangerous for somebody's mental health, where you don't really know where you stand with your parents. One time they are extremely nice, another time they're extremely abusive, another time they're using you to do something, they're sending you to do something, and usually they're sending you to do very bad stuff. So these people survive in that very dark kind of occultism system, where they believe in certain procedures. They have got certain beliefs, very dark beliefs. Like I've told you that sometimes you could have the heads of that particular system who are actually witches. They are actively involved in witchcraft. You're seeing this presence of very strange people coming at your house, and there is things they are doing, there's things they are saying, there is things they are doing around your house. You don't even know what they are doing, only for you to find out later on that there was a particular member who was the head in the unit that was involved in those practices. And sometimes these things can go a very long way because they can destabilize everybody in the unit. All those families tend to have a lot of struggles. Everybody will be struggling with different things. A lot of things will be struggling with sicknesses. Like, sometimes you have a family which is trying to break something. But for them to be able to break something out of the family system, they need to do or to get involved in certain practices. And these are very dark practices, but sometimes because there's a very unusual negative energy that they're pouring into the whole unit, so it tends to also affect so many members of the family, in their own personal lives, where people keep on going in cycles of stagnation, inability to get spouses, get married, live their life happily, inability to get employed or stuff like that. So, when you're dealing with this kind of narcissistic people, you have to be careful. Those people, they do not have souls. I've told you a million times in my videos, they do not have any soul. They do not have any purpose. They just try to use other people's energy to survive. So when you see those kind of things whereby a narcissist in the family, they're attempting to get something, but for them to get those things, their cult requires them. Their cult, whatever cult they're involved in, it requires them to sacrifice somebody. They need to sacrifice, so they need a sacrifice. That's how you know that this whole thing is demonic. You know, this whole narcissism thing is demonic. Is where you see members in the family, for them to be able to get some benefit of some sorts, they are choosing to sacrifice somebody. And again, I've said it can be a person within the unit, but if they're not ready to sacrifice their own members in the unit, they are going to find somebody from outside of the unit to sacrifice. And this can go very deep, that you might find an individual who has nothing to do with those people. They're not even bothered with what they're doing. They're not even a part of them. They don't even want anything to do with them. But they are trying to drag that person's energy, you know, for their own survival. So all you need to do, guys, ladies and gentlemen, is to have your eyes open, okay? We are the messengers, so we give you the truth, the way it is and as it is, the unedited truth, so that you guys can be able to know. Pray for the spirit of discernment. The moment you start to see these kind of people, individuals like that, it doesn't even matter who they are, parents or whatever, family members, you have to let them go. Vacate the vicinity, release those individuals and let them go, because you did not come here to engage and participate in those kind of people who are involved in very dark magic practices and cults and occultism and stuff like that. So I'm sure that many of you guys know and understand what I'm talking about. If that is the case, let us know in the comments below what you think. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session with me if you want to. You might donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I'll catch you guys in my next one. There's almost signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.